Hey everybody, it's Melissa. I just first want to thank Nataliana for the opportunity to share with the Melanin Mental Health Initiative community, and I'm so happy to be here. So today we're going to talk about what's called high functioning depression. We're going to talk about how it differs from major depressive disorder, which is going to lead us to talk a little bit more about the symptoms and how they present in everyday life. And then lastly, we're going to end with just some resources if you may be posed to some of these challenges or you know someone who may benefit from those resources that we share. So, when we think about depression in general, a lot of the times we think about those very stereotypical and kind of mainstream symptoms that we see in the media or things of that nature. And so, although some of those things may be true for some people that experience major depressive disorder, it's not that experience for everyone. And so, in the same when we talk about high functioning depression, everyone experiences things in different ways. But one thing about high functioning depression is that sometimes those symptoms may not be as visible from what we see in everyday life and media and in our environments, but that does not mean that those symptoms that are not as physical are not as important or not as impactful on people's lives. So, high functioning depression, also called smiling depression, the actual medical term for it is what's called dysthymia. But for the remainder of our time together, we'll reference it as high functioning depression. So some of those symptoms may look like being very critical of oneself, experiencing a lot of self-doubt, experiencing low self-esteem, and questioning a lot of the decisions and thoughts and feelings that you have both about your personal and professional life, and being very fearful and worry a lot about the things that are to come in the future. Unfortunately, left untreated, high functioning depression can develop into major depressive disorder, but also can occur with other illnesses such as substance use disorders or eating disorders. So it's very, very, very important to take this seriously and to self-examine either yourself or to really reach out to those around you that you may feel may be experiencing some of this and just maybe a little bit guilty and feeling some shame in reaching out and asking for help. So one of the first resources that I would like to suggest is connecting with people that you know support you. If it's just one person that you really, really trust and know is going to have your back, if you are honest with them and let them know of these struggles that are occurring with you, reach out to someone that you know and connect with them in that way. So although we don't know the exact causes of depression, we do know that there is some chemical imbalances in the brain and low levels of serotonin, and that there can also be some genetic predispositions to this. One thing is just some basic lifestyle changes. So adding in some exercise into your everyday lifestyle, because exercise really allows those positive endorphins to release in your brain, which can actually help that chemical imbalance that's going on. Another suggestion that you can just do in your everyday life is to practice mindfulness. The pure premise of mindfulness is to be in the moment, to not be worrying about what has happened in the past and not to worry too much about what's happening in the future, but to effectively navigate and be aware with what's going on in you in the present moment is really the basis of what mindfulness is. And some people do that through yoga and meditation and things of that nature. Seeking professional help and support in the form of a counselor or a therapist is very, very beneficial. There are practices and evidence-based treatments that help people to navigate these very situations. A very, very large resource that I like to share with people is a website called Therapy for Black Girls. And on that website, there are a ton of resources, but in addition, there's a directory that you can navigate to find therapists that may be a good fit for you in your respective states. And along the same lines of that is also an online directory called Psychology Today. And the same way, there are a list of therapists and counselors that specify what they specialize in, and you can navigate them by depression, if that's what you're experiencing. You can navigate by their location and things of that nature to really, really help you just navigate all this in the best way possible. So I am a licensed clinical social worker and also a distance counselor. I own a private practice that's called Goal Driven Counseling. I specialize in depression, anxiety, chronic stress, and self-esteem, and I do that in a way that is through video conferencing. So very much how this looks is how I work with my clients. And Although distance counseling is not the best option for everyone, it is a very beneficial tool for those that it is a good fit for. And research says that it is just as effective as in person therapy. So that was a lot. And again, I want to thank you. Again, we talked about just what high functioning depression is, how it differs from major depressive disorder, what some of those symptoms look like, and finding a therapist or a counselor that is a good fit for you can help you to navigate those challenges. Thank you guys.